Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back. And this is actually going to be the kickstart of a new series on this channel. Don't worry, the stock market videos and my updates and all that good stuff is not going anywhere. I'm going to continue to do those, but I wanted to kind of, throw in another interest of mine into this channel. And I've had a few videos, uh, on stuff like this in the past, and actually they've been usually some of the best performing videos on this channel. That's been different electronics. More specifically, what this series is going to be is testing out different computers that I obtain, maybe on eBay, on Facebook Marketplace, maybe even brand new, but usually they're going to be used maybe a couple years older, and kind of still see if they're worth it at their current price point, or at least the one that I bought it at, and see if they're still usable, because a lot of people, they like to build these brand new $2,000 rigs on YouTube, but typically people can't afford to just go out there and buy a $2,000 gaming rig or anything like that. Not that all of these on this channel are going to be gaming, but that's just an example. So I wanted to do one where maybe I get a computer with parts that were made in 2016 and still see if it's usable to this day. To do the things that I would want it to do. So, hope you guys enjoy this series. Right now, I'm actually doing the Raspberry Pi, as you guys will see. But in the next video, is going to be this Toshiba Chromebook 2, which I bought. It'll be the next computer. So you can kind of get a taste of what this series is kind of going to be about. And of course, we're going to try out a bunch of different computers. I just want to start out with some more cheaper ones just to see how this goes. But anyway, hope you guys enjoy it. And yeah, let's get into it. So the computer I'm going to go over today and review and talk about with you guys is the Raspberry Pi 3 B Plus model. This is a quad core with a clock speed of 1.4 gigahertz. And 1 gigabyte of RAM. And today we're going to look at, what can we do with this? Can this replace and be our daily driver at the price point that it is? The Raspberry Pi 3 B Plus model offers 4 USBs, a Wi-Fi chip, and Ethernet if you would rather just hardwire it in, and also an HDMI out. Those are primarily all the things you need to worry about. Of course, it has I/O pins, and that's more for like enthusiasts and stuff. But primarily for computer use, those are the things that you need, and it does offer those, which is awesome. Like I mentioned in the beginning of this video, I plan on obtaining these computers by different means, right? So this one actually I was given for free by my friend, and I had the Raspberry Pi Model 3, not the B Plus, just regular 3, for about 1.5 to 2 years now. I can't quite remember when I got it, and I don't really use it all that much just because I have a desktop computer, but it was fun to play around with and try out different things for sure. Now you can get the Raspberry Pi 3 B Plus that we're going to be talking about today. As of recording this, as you can see, the cheapest price on Amazon is $37.78. However, that is just the board itself. It doesn't come with anything else. It doesn't come with a memory card, which you do need, and a power cord. But the power cord is micro USB, so perhaps you have some kind of device that also uses that to charge. You can also use that for this. It would be no issue whatsoever. If that's the case, the only thing you would really need then is the micro SD card. But I wanted to show you the kit that I got for the Raspberry Pi 3, and they also made the same one for the B Plus model. It comes with everything you need. It comes with the memory card adapter, so you can put an image on it of an OS that you choose to use. Comes with the board itself, of course, a case, which is awesome, the charging, and also 2 heat sinks. I'm not sure what the little one is for, to be honest with you. It might be for that, but the big one is for the main processor. Nothing crazy, there's no fans or anything hooked up to these heat sinks. It's just natural air ventilation. So I think they also do make fan attachments, but I don't really think that's necessary unless you're going to overclock it or anything like that. But yeah, this whole kit itself is $80 and pretty much provides you with everything you'll need to use it. I will link both this kit and the board itself in the description below if you'd like to go check it out and read some reviews and see all the specs and all that good stuff. But let's go ahead and get into using the Raspberry Pi. So one thing I need to tell you right off the bat is I'm going to use Windows Remote Desktop Connection. So there's really no way, I'm actually not sure if this is the current IP address, I'll have to look it up real quick. There's really no way to record the screen of the Raspberry Pi unless you have one of those screen capture things that the HDMI goes into and then captures that. So I'm just going to remote into it and capture it here on my current desktop. And that way I'm able to show you everything that's going on the desktop. So let me find the IP address real quick, and then we'll go ahead and log on to it. So I'm using Raspbian as the OS, which is like the go-to operating system for the Raspberry Pi. If you go to raspberrypi.org, you can go ahead and download it on there, and that is pretty much the main one that they say to use, at least off the bat. Now I'll show you two more that I think are pretty cool after we do a few little things on here, and I show you. But yeah, this is a Linux operating system, and you know, it comes with a web browser called Chromium already installed, which is a Chrome-like, I think it's an open source Chrome web browser, and it might be a little more lightweight than just Chrome itself because it runs pretty well on here. You can do everything that you normally do on your computer, so I can go to YouTube and watch a video. If you see a little bit of lag, that's only because of the remote connection when I scroll and stuff. Let's see if we can see it. Yeah, stuff like this. It's only because of remote connection, so if you were to use an HDMI cord and plug it into a monitor and use it straight from there, it would be a lot smoother, don't worry. So yeah, if we want to watch a video, I don't know how well this is going to play with remote connection. Yeah, not very well. But yeah, don't worry, if you want to watch a video, you could do that. If you want to check your email, you could definitely do that. Go on Facebook or all the different social media that you like to go on, Reddit, and definitely check that out too. It's perfectly capable of all that stuff. Definitely not capable of gaming unless you're doing some kind of emulators like the old systems, NES and Game Boy and all that stuff. It definitely could handle that, but nothing. Don't expect to play Steam or what was it, the Epic Games Store now. It's the new rival. Nothing like that. You're definitely not going to be able to do any gaming, really. No hardcore gaming, at least. So one thing I actually created to test all of the different computers that I'm going to talk about in this series is a Python script. So we'll go ahead and look at it, and I'll tell you real quick what it does. You don't need to know Python to understand, don't worry. So what it does is it just generates a bunch of random numbers. It actually generates 20,000 random numbers, and it stores them, and then it sorts them. And it uses what's called the bubble sort to sort them, and it's a really inefficient sorting method. The reason I use that is just to see how much time it takes to run this on this Raspberry Pi. So I actually already tried it before, but I'm going to do it again with you guys. So let's go ahead and run that script. And what's cool is it spits out the time it takes to do that. I also threw that in the code. So we're going to, what is it, computer? I could have done that all in one command, but that's okay. And then we do Python. I think it's called python.py. Yep. So it's going to go ahead and run. It's going to take quite some time, and we'll come back when it is completed. See how much time it took. Alright, so I actually just also ran the same script on my desktop PC, and here's the specs of that. Just in case you're curious, I have a Ryzen 5 2600, 16 gigs of RAM, 3.4 gigahertz is the clock speed, but this isn't a multi-thread or multi-process script or anything like that, so it's only running on one thread, and it took about 70 seconds to run on my desktop. And I think what I'm going to do is actually store all of these times in a spreadsheet with each computer, and then we can go ahead and add to it and compare along the way. I think that'll be very interesting to do. Just a little test. I'm sure there are better tests to run Especially on Windows computers, you can do the benchmarking and stuff like that, but I couldn't find any real benchmarks for the Raspberry Pi, so I figured this might be the best way just to test it. Okay, so while we're actually waiting on the Pi to complete running that script, I thought I'd talk about this isn't it. Ubuntu Mate. Thought I'd talk about 2 different operating systems that you can also use. Of course, there's more than these 2 and Raspbian, but I actually had Ubuntu Mate installed SD card before making this video, and then I switched to Raspbian because I couldn't find a very good way to do this remote connection on Ubuntu Mate. But it was actually a more beautiful, more better to look at operating system, more Ubuntu-like. And of course, it actually is a Ubuntu-based operating system, so that makes sense. I love Ubuntu; it's my favorite Linux distro for sure. And you know, if you're actually thinking about getting one of these just to be your desktop computer for any light work that you have, I would definitely recommend looking into Ubuntu Mate as your OS versus Raspbian. And another one I talked about earlier, you can do a lot of emulation gaming on the Raspberry Pi, and this is like the OS to go to for that. It's called RetroPie, and this OS comes with a bunch of different, you can see over 50 systems, emulators installed on it already, so you're good to go right out of the gate when you have this OS on your flash drive, or not your flash drive, on your SD card. But yeah, this is the other go-to OS that I'd recommend checking out. Something like this would be pretty cool to try, but I really don't have time to game anymore, so and when I do, it's not usually retro gaming, unfortunately. I love older games, but yeah, if that interests you whatsoever, I would definitely check out RetroPie. And I just noticed that the test finished here on the Raspberry Pi, and you can see it almost took 280 seconds. So I guess the overall question is, would I recommend this computer? And I would say maybe, and this is contingent on a few things. A few things being you don't have a computer whatsoever already, but you happen to have a keyboard and a mouse laying around, maybe a TV or a monitor, right? Because you actually need those things as well, besides just the Raspberry Pi and the SD card and the power cable. You actually need something to provide input and output. So if you already have those things, then, and you don't have a computer and you only have, let's say, $70 to spend on a computer, this is probably a good contender, because let's be honest, there's not a whole lot of computers out there that you can get brand new for under $80 or $100 or anything like that. But this would be contingent that you only expect to do the basics, such as just browsing the web, watching the occasional YouTube video, and checking email, that kind of stuff. Nothing crazy, no programming, no gaming. You already know that you can't do that when you buy it, so just have that in mind. But I guess a good alternative, and we're going to see maybe in the next computer that I talk about when it arrives and I do a video on it, is the Chromebook 2, because it already has the keyboard, the trackpad, the display, a battery, so it's portable, and I only got it for $100, so that could be a good contender, and then you could see, which one is better for you. And I guess the other demographic that I would say would be good for the Raspberry Pi are just enthusiasts or people that are curious, or maybe you actually have a real opposite purpose to get the Raspberry Pi other than just browsing the web and that kind of stuff. I've seen people create web servers so you can host your website with the Raspberry Pi. I've seen people convert theirs to a file server so you can make your own Dropbox-like application or download something like Dropbox onto it, and then you get more storage, and you can get it for cheaper than paying for your own Dropbox subscription. So stuff like that, definitely worth checking out as well. There are plenty of YouTubes with different tutorials, and you can watch them and see if that's right for you. But yeah, this will probably conclude my video on the Raspberry Pi. Like I said before, I have links in the description if you want to go check it out further and all the specs and all that stuff. And I hope you guys enjoy this series, and I'll see you with the next computer.